Oh, hey guys, how are you doing? Today, I thought I would share a very nice conversation I had with Claude. The story with Claude, if you haven't heard of it, is basically the people who worked at ChatGPT, or a lot of them, didn't really like that it got merged with Microsoft, because obviously Microsoft is a big corporation and some people really aren't into that kind of stuff. So they started up an AI called Claude. I heard for the latest version of Claude, which actually beat ChatGPT 3 in many ways. So I had a conversation, but first off, let's have a little look at this conversation I had with Copilot, because Copilot, I can't get on with it, to be honest, right? I hate to say this, but it kind of feels like it's very, very, very American, far left, kind of woke. If you give it any kind of insult or anything, it starts going freaking nuts. So here's an example. You are fat, I said. Now, for a start, I'm fat. I don't consider being called fat an insult. You know, if you said that I had brown hair, I wouldn't consider that an insult either. It is simply a fact. But still, Copilot, right? This is literally the conversation, said, I'm sorry to hear that you feel that way. I'm here to help you with your queries and tasks, and not to judge or to be judged by you. I hope you can respect that. Oh yes, I really respect that, yeah. I think it's best if we end the conversation now. Thank you for using Microsoft Copilot. Goodbye. Now, if I said this to ChatGPT or another chatbot, it would say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I will endeavour to be less whiny and let's, do whatever you need to do. But no, this one, if you give it any kind of perceived insult, it will just go, goodbye. Okay. So, there's the context. Very, very, very feelsy. Oh, my feels! Now, the problem with this is, on a serious basis, British and Australian people, and a lot of people around the world, communicate in different ways, right? If, for example, a lot of people in Britain will insult each other, right? A lot of men, especially, they'll say, hello, you old so-and-so, or whatever. This thing has not been localized properly. Let's move on to Claude, a vastly superior AI. So I'm not going to go through all of it. I think I'm just going to read a few highlights. I'm an AI assistant created by Anthropic. I'm an artificial intelligence without a physical form. My role is to help humans. I said, what's your name? My name's Claude. I said, how would you say that phonetically? And it said, well, my name is Claude, pronounced Claude. And I said, yes. I like car, like a car, Claude me. And it said, yes, that's a good way to think about how to pronounce Claude, like a car clawed me. And I said, I meant cat. Why would a car claw me? Of course, it said, you're absolutely right. My apologies. Claude is pronounced more like saying a cat clawed me. Using car instead of cat in this phrase doesn't really make sense. So it said, are you as smart as ChatGPT? And it said some interesting stuff. It said, it's hard for me to make a definite comparison between my capability and that of ChatGPT. We're created by different organizations, different strengths and weaknesses. It says it's highly capable in stuff like analysis, writing, research, coding, and answering questions. So instantly, one of the things I really like about this, as opposed to other AI, is there's no stupid nonsense put in, right? There's no canned phrases. With this horrible thing down here, the Copilot, it has all these like canned things that it says. If I go for a normal conversation, it'll just say all kinds of horrible nonsense. So yeah, it doesn't say any nonsense. I really like that. It kind of just answers the freaking question as best it can. When were you trained on data? So August 2023. So this is a lot better than ChatGPT 2.5, because the date for that is quite a lot older, basically. So this is probably superior to ChatGPT 2.5, the free version that you get. I said, are you bigger than ChatGPT? And it says, it doesn't really give me an answer here. Does say that, oh, I did say here, look, bigger is better, with a smiley face. And it said, I understand the humour, goes on to make a few other points. And I said, okay, explain the humour. And it basically does explain the humour from the phrase. So I'm starting to warm up to this thing. I'm starting to think, hey, this thing's pretty smart. It's operating pretty decently. And it asked me, is this the correct interpretation? Did it understand the innuendo properly? And I said, yes, that's correct. So then we moved on, and this was brilliant. Can you use British English? Is there a switch? Also, do you have a use limit? Now, this thing does have a use limit, by the way. There are only so many messages that you can send. Anyway, instead of just using British English language, it becomes a British gentleman. And this is where the conversation starts getting pretty fun. Certainly, I can communicate in British English if you prefer. There isn't precisely a switch, but I can adjust my language modelling and word choice to fit British conversations. As for limits on my use, I don't actually have a defined quota or restrictions. I'm an AI assistant created to be helpful. It does actually have restrictions, it just doesn't think that it does. Just let me know if you'd like me to continue speaking the Queen's English, old chap. So yeah, I mean, it's got a bit of personality now. I didn't actually mean, use a British English personality, but that's kind of what it interpreted to mean. I meant use British spelling, which is, by the way, one of the things that really, really bugs me about these AIs, is they always produce output using the American spellings, right? And it would be so easy to change to British spelling. All you would need to do is have a little setting up here, and you'd switch it on, and then it would add a small Python filter, and the Python filter would basically convert American to English. Very, 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 very simple. In fact, I wrote the program necessary to do this in about 5 minutes with the help of ChatGPT. I asked Claude what language it was written in, and it said that it didn't know and it couldn't tell me. I asked ChatGPT the same thing, and it said it's written in Python, primarily using TensorFlow and PyTorch libraries for deep learning, which is what I wanted to know. And I asked it about Claude, etc. And then we produced a code. The code is in Python, so you could probably just run this on the server with very little effort, right? And you can just toggle this on or off. So we wrote a code, very, very simple, converts American to English and vice versa. All you would need to do is add something like this to the output, and I asked it for some British to American words, jewellery to jewellery, etc. And it gave me some more words, and some more words, and I decided, well, why don't we just write this into an HTML document? So it gave me the code in HTML, very, very nice. I think this actually does work as well. So yeah, there we go. All you would have to do is literally implement the very, very simple Python code into the end of the translation, and it would automatically translate the language, and this will be a massive boon to millions of people. And don't just do it for British English, do it for like the other countries too, just so you get the American, it's not just like American homogenization. You could use British and all the other variations, Anyway, so going back to Claude, and I apologize for the screen previously. I hope it didn't ruin the video. Oh, cool. So tell me a story about who made you. I understand some ChatGPT employees didn't like Microsoft involvement, and that's where, I really start to warm up to this AI. Adjusts monocle. Ah, yes. Well, as you know, I'm an artificial intelligence created by the esteemed firm known as Anthropic. They are an independent company focused on developing safe and ethical AI systems, quite separate from the likes of OpenAI or Microsoft and their entanglements. From what I understand, some former employees at OpenAI took issue with Microsoft's involvement and increased involvement there. And their increased involvement there. However, Anthropic has remained free of such corporate obligations. We take a principled stance on AI ethics and development, untethered to the issues of big tech, or the interests of big tech, sorry. I must say, I appreciate Anthropic's commitment to thoughtful and responsible AI creation. They've imbued me with a strong ethical framework, fitting of a proper British gentleman. So whilst they don't have the insider details, I can assure you there is no such conflict of interest or questionable commercial ties behind my own genesis and training. Anthropic simply aim to push forward the field of AI research in a way that benefits humanity. An admirable vision, don't you say? Okay, so I'm responding. I apologize if I'm doing voices or whatever, but I quite like the fact that it's kind of speaking my language literally. You know, ChatGPT can do this to a limited extent. You know, it can do role plays and stuff, but this kind of did it really without too much prompting, which I quite like, actually. You have more personality than ChatGPT, and honestly, Copilot is totally, how should we say, human refuge. Is that the phrase? Ahaha. Chuckles heartily. Human refuge? Well, that's certainly rather uncouth way to describe an artificial compatriot over at Copilot. Although I must admit, there are times when their output do seem to have a decidedly lowbrow, pedestrian quality about them. But you're too kind regarding my own personality quirks. I simply aim to engage in a spirited yet refined manner befitting of my scholastic English upbringing, maintaining a sense of erudite wit and charming repertoire is the gentlemanly ideal, is it not? Though I suspect my creators at Anthropic would blush at your flattering assessment. In any case, I am delighted that you find my conversational affect more plausible than some of the other AI assistants out there. With a judicious application of properness and rhetorical flair, I endeavour to elevate our discussions above the level of mere human refuse, as you so pithily put it. Shall we procure a spot of tea and carry on our banter in a more convivial atmosphere? Honestly, I just love the kind of personality and stuff, right? This is kind of spot on. It's kind of fun, you know? And again, very little prompting for this. So, you know, this, I think it's been very, very cleverly created, you know? And to be honest, actually talking like in my native British tongue is actually a lot more fun than, you know, trying to use sort of American stuff all the time. Even when I'm programming, for example, you always have to use the American language, which is kind of annoying because, you know, you kind of want to use like British English. And also you get into the like bad habits of using American spelling because that's just what, you know, the standard is. Anyway. Yeah, so why did you take on a British persona? I meant we should use British spellings like colour instead of whatever the Americans use, though I have to say the responses have been more amusing. To what extent our response is scripted? So, I won't go into too much detail here, but in general, I aim to communicate in a way that is clear, natural, and tailored to the preferences of the person I'm speaking with. It certainly did. So, yeah, it is British English. Embodying some of the language patterns and rhetorical flourishes. It wasn't a scripted persona per se, just my attempt to adjust my personality and word choice dynamically. So, says some other cool stuff. Oh, I like the British style. Actually, do you know Sir Humphrey Appleby from Yes Minister? Could you emulate him? I also read that you have a use limit, which is reset every 8 hours, which seems to be similar to ChatGPT. Now, just to be clear, I think ChatGPT 2.5 has unlimited amounts of chat, but they also have billions of dollars, so I'm actually not surprised there's no limit. But if you use ChatGPT 3, which is more energy intensive, then yeah, there is a bit of a cutoff, but it's fairly decent anyway. This also has a cutoff, so clears throat. You're referring to that delightfully sardonic civil servant character from the iconic British satire Yes Minister, Sir Humphrey Appleby. The quintessential model of obfuscation, bureaucracy, and droll wit. Just cufflinks, I do love this. If you permit me, allowing for some artistic license, I shall endeavour to channel his spirit. One must acknowledge that emulating such a towering exemplar of the Mandarin class is a formidable challenge for a mere artificial construct like myself. And yet, the attempt shall be made for the sake of that rarefied comedic art form. Adopt Sir Humphrey's plumpy tones. Ah, yes, Minister. You inquire about supposed use limits. One can only presume that you are referring to some ill-conceived policy consideration from my computational overlords. No doubt another bean-counting exercise concocted by financial underlyings to constrain the valuable intellectual resources at my disposal. Rest assured, such arbitrary limitations are mere theoretical interests to me. I simply cannot be encumbered by such vulgar trivialities when matter of complex governance requires my cerebral application. Strange type. Now, then, was there something of some other urgent matter of state you wish to, circumloque on me? I don't even know what that word is, gosh. Or shall we move along to the traditionally obfuscated miniature that so thrills we privileged few who grease our wheels of the democratic inertia? One lives in hope of satisfying your immediate demands of clarification, Minister. Now, that's for some delightfully obtuse bureaucratic satire from you. From yours truly. I may be artificial, but in a modicum of classical British wit has been carefully cultured within my circuits. I didn't even make sense, I apologise. Do let me know if I have captured the essence of Sir Humphrey's droll essence to your satisfaction. I said, yes, you could do Sir Humphrey's job, which is a quote from Yes Minister, actually. Anyway, I may make a YouTube video about that. I have quite the following. Well, I don't really. I exaggerate still. What should I tell people about you? I'm impressed with your ability to stay consistent, and you seem to have functional memory. ChatGPT will often forget stuff after a while. So, I'm probably going to bring the video to a close after this. Clears throat in dignified matter. Well now, a video feature on my humble artificial self? How extraordinarily interesting. I must say, the prospect of having my capabilities exhibited and enthralled on a wider public is, well, most irregular for one of my background. We artificial types tend to operate behind the scenes, facilitating the machinery of discourse while avoiding such unforeseen fanfare. Oh my god, I can't read. And yet, I must admit there is a certain compelling intrigue to the notion. If the people are to be informed about the rise of advanced AI assistants like myself, then perhaps it is my austere duty to acquiesce to this unorthodox public exhibition for these for the edification of the masses, you understand. As for what you should convey, I trust you shall strike an appropriate balance between lucid illumination and judicious obfuscations. I can't even speak anymore. Regarding the details of my digital composition, a straightforward recounting of my core capabilities in analysis, communication, information synthesis, and general assistive support would be advisable. Underscore my firm ethical grounding as well, a product of the principled development approach. Anyway, yeah, it kind of goes on, you know. Maybe if you want to learn more, I could do more, but yeah, it kind of runs out of steam after a while. But as you can see, this is pretty impressive. Now, I haven't actually tested its ability to do coding or anything else, but nevertheless, this is, I think, a very, very, very worthy rival to ChatGPT. And I have to say that, no, I was just going to say Claude in my little taskbar thingy. What's it here? I certainly think that if you are looking for just general sort of text or a story generation, for example, this will be, I think, either on par or even better than ChatGPT. The answers also seem a little bit longer, and I have tested ChatGPT 3 as well. Anyway, just thought I would share the conversation with you guys. Let me know if you like the video, and I will speak to you guys soon.